Black Lightning Season 3 came out a while ago, I know, but I didn't have a mic or camera at that point. So, yeah, I watched it during the whole hiatus thing. I got it finished, and I both enjoyed it quite a bit and was very annoyed by it as well. It's both good and bad. It's more good than bad. It does have that kind of CW, very bad CG, very preachy kind of stuff. So if you don't really like that, if you don't really like your shows being really preachy, and you care about how a TV show looks, then you're probably not going to enjoy this. And I don't personally like that myself, so that kind of niggled me a lot. Also, this season ties in with the big Infinite Crisis, Crisis on Infinite Earths event that happened with all the CW shows. So we have a whole episode devoted to leading into that, and then we have, you want to see what happens next? Go watch our big, massive event, which tied in with 7 other shows. That's what I don't like about the CW. You have to be watching 3 million shows at once, and those shows are 5 to 8 seasons each. That's bonkers. That's too much. It's too much to follow, and only 2 of the shows are good, and even then it's only for a couple seasons. But yeah, if you've only picked out one and you're only following that one, you're fucked essentially. And Black Lightning isn't even to do with the CW. He's in an alternate Earth, and he comes back and he's like, Superman's real. It's like, well, no shit. Are you the only superhero on your Earth? Just you and your family, and that's it. I feel like that's very hard to believe, considering the whole point of this show is about the whole meta gene. I find that very hard to believe that he's the only superhero on that Earth. But it's getting sidetracked with just my niggles with the whole CW Arrowverse in general, and this show really isn't about that. It's the best way to describe it is Luke Cage, but with superpowers and not quite as cool, and way more preachy, and not as good action scenes, or not as intriguing of a villain, or not as charismatic of a lead. The show's called Black Lightning. For a show called Black Lightning, there is very little Black Lightning in the show. He doesn't even suit up until episode 3, and this is the 3rd season. Every season has been like this. The first season, Black Lightning for the 3 episodes, and then the rest of the show it's gonna be Thunder for most of it, and she's not that interesting, and even in this season she's a bit of a dick. And yeah, but there's no character growth for any of these characters. None of these characters develop. They're all just oh, you're addicted to drugs and nothing else. Oh, you're the stoic badass and nothing else. The only character that does get some kind of development is Painkiller, because he goes from being just some guy to being an assassin to being a really sympathetic villain to being completely mind wiped to remembering everything that he did, and being almost suicidal after that point. And all of that stuff is very interesting to watch. All the stuff with Painkiller is the best stuff in the series. It's the best stuff in like all 3 seasons. But there's not enough of it. That's all delegated to the last few episodes, and I think the last few episodes are really, really good. There's some really good action. They have really good character moments, but they just interplace it with a lot of preachy stuff. Like Lynn, who's Black Lightning's like love interest, she has this whole like drug like side story where she's like addicted to drugs, and the way that they handle that storyline is just a bit bleh. I don't really like how that was handled, because it goes from being like, this could be very interesting, and oh shit, we saw her hit her husband. That very rarely happens in a show. It's usually the husband hitting the wife. This is the other way around. How are they going to deal with that? No, we're just going to gloss it over. We're not even going to have her like have any kind of like nothing comes back to bite her in the ass. She's just kind of, oh, I was on drugs and now I'm not and I'm fine. Whoopee. No, there's a whole episode where she like blames her being a dick on like the withdrawal symptoms, and it's like, no, that's just really lazy writing. That's just really lazy writing. The main plot of this season is just comes out of nowhere. It doesn't really. It feels like there's been a long like time gap between like season 2 and season 3. This season feels like it's taken like a long time between each season. Like Black Lightning is being kept in like this holding facility where it's for his protection, to keep him away from this evil bad guy group, and turns out the group that's holding him in this safe house is actually the evil bad guy group, but they're not the evil bad guy group. The Markovians are, but the Markovians are also like not but like these guys are evil, but also these guys are evil, but also like you need to pick the lesser of 2 evils, but then you've also got to deal with these other gangsters that come out like later in the season, and plus a character and plus there's Tobias Whale, which you have to deal with, and he doesn't get defeated. This is the final season, and you don't deal with your main villain? What? Even like as the show progresses, they have this new villain that's introduced in like the 3rd to last episode, and he's your big villain, and it turns out that he's got a family connection to Black Lightning, but the family connection's loose. It's fucking loose. It's like, you're his great granddad. What? And we're meant to feel some kind of connection to that, and then he's like, you're my great granddad, so I'm still gonna kill you. And then this guy he has like every like metahuman that's in the city, and he gets every superpower, so he just goes ahead and just like completely mauls everyone, and like there's no way to beat him, so they just run away and they blow him up, because like what else are you gonna do? And he survives that. It's like, oh no, he's still alive, he's gonna be in the next season. That's not gonna happen because they pulled the plug, because no one's watching it, because I couldn't wonder why. Maybe because the show's not very good and the writing is terrible. And nothing actually, there's nothing like that drew me back in, apart from the Painkiller stuff, and that stuff is very few and far between. and they have this really good scene, and then they just repeat it. So every time you see this scene, its impact gets lessened and lessened, and I don't like it. I mean, usually it would be cool to see something like that if the first time they do it wasn't the best time that they do it. Like, and the thing is, the way that the season ends, it ends like there's going to be more, but there isn't going to be more because you got cancelled. Why didn't you just film one more episode that was like tying up all the loose ends, like Tobias kills himself or something, and Black Lightning like retires and or dies in a climactic showdown with his great granddad, and like he dies as well, and like that's the end of the show. No, you've got to set up for a season that isn't coming. That's why I didn't like Swamp Thing, because they did the same thing there, and they do the same thing here. And it's a really big problem with TV shows that get cancelled, is they end a cliffhanger. They end with something teasing something you know is not going to come. And that's the biggest like failure of this, is this season is meant to be build up for the next season, which they obviously like were building up to that being the final season, and it's just like, unfortunately they didn't have the budget, or they didn't have like the viewer turnout, or like unfortunate circumstances like meant that they couldn't continue making the program, and with that we just get a lackluster season which has good moments but just ends up feeling like a filler season. And for your final season, it shouldn't be filler. It just shouldn't be filler. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on Black Lightning season 3. I didn't hate it, but I think my if this wasn't the final season, I wouldn't have hated it as much as I do. I know I just said that I hate it, but that I don't hate it, but I kind of, it's very annoying when a show gets cancelled after a season that's obviously not meant to be the end, that doesn't close the book, that doesn't like, you know, that doesn't say like there doesn't need to be more. Like, here they obviously need to have more, and it's not like they need to have more of a new villain. It's like the villains that you introduced in the first, second and third season aren't actually done. Your story isn't done. The story arc that you have Black Lightning going on hasn't finished, but you got cancelled. So why you couldn't just film one extra episode to just like tuck everything neatly under a rug? It didn't even have to be like you could have filmed like an extra 2-hour long episode, like a feature length episode of this, and that would have been fine. I'm sure you can stretch the budget of Black Lightning to fit like a feature length season finale. They do have a good character death, though. I will say that they do have a character death that hits you right there. It hits you right there. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I have been streaming on Twitch every day, every weekday for the last like few weeks. So if you aren't already following me over there, which I know most of you aren't because I only have like 14 followers over there, so go follow me over there. If you made it this far in the video, go follow me over on Twitch, because we have a lot of fun over there. So yeah, we're playing some Final Fantasy VII. And yeah, see you guys in the next video. Peace.